Welcome to The Entrepreneur in You, the podcast that unlocks the secrets to success in the trying world of being a busy entrepreneur. I'm your host, Troy Cummings, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you as we dive deep into the minds of industry experts who have achieved remarkable success in their respective fields. Welcome to The Entrepreneur in You, where we help entrepreneurs learn, earn, and grow their business. Today's guest is Melissa Kathryn, who specializes in wholeness and empowering women to become the best version of themselves by teaching them how to reprogram their minds, connect to their bodies, and harness the power of their intuition. To achieve the life and body of their dreams, Melissa is a certified holistic nutritionist, master life coach, mindset expert, globally recognized intuitive, hypnotherapist, international best-selling author, host, and speaker. She has been a featured TEDx speaker and has been featured on New York Live, the CW, NBC, ABC, Parade, Parents, Health, US Weekly, Reader's Digest, and many more. She is also a writer for publications such as Real Simple, Mind Body Green, and Shape Magazine. Melissa's show Wholeness is featured on LA Talk Radio on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern. So without further ado, let's welcome in Melissa Kathryn.
Hi.
Hey, how we doing, Melissa?
I'm good. That's
Wow.
that bio cracks me up. Yes.
That's quite the resume there. You've been around, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yes, that's a lot to be proud of, and your success there. So definitely, I don't think I've had someone on the show just yet with that quite of a resume. So that's very, very good. So let's talk a little bit about wholeness. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the practice?
Yeah. So, and this this is for humans, right? Like it's
Yes.
not just women. It just happens that, I've in the past catered directly to that audience, but I've definitely had a lot of male clients as well and go through our programs, but
Very
it's
good.
about around. So wholeness is essentially coming back to the truth of who you are before you ever thought you were less than, before any limiting beliefs, any trauma, any past stories. And what it's about is understanding, and why I love doing things with the mind so much, and became a master hypnotherapist and really dove deep into that work, was because everything that I've had to do in my own life and have worked with people to overcome, it always came back to their mindset. And so you could take why do we have, billionaires that want to commit suicide? Why do we have, in order to achieve levels of success, what I believe is you don't just want to be successful, you want to be happy, right? Or else success is just, I need to be successful in order to have, there's something that you believe you'll get from being successful, whether it's other people looking up to you, giving you respect, whatever you're desiring is one of your core human needs, right? We all have 5 core human needs. And that comes down to acceptance, approval, love, and certainty, safety, right? And so underneath all of that is our mindset. And what I also saw, and really why wholeness became so much about that, and helping people achieve mass levels of success and up leveling their life in all areas, was recognizing that that people often operate from a faulty foundation of limited premises and beliefs about themselves that are based on an inner critic that actually has nothing to do with themselves, but they have rules and roles that they've been living out their whole lives because that's what they were taught by, I'm Irish Catholic. There's definitely a lot on being an Irish Catholic woman, being raised Catholic, as I just said. There's different stigmas put on males and females, and starting to really ask yourself, what rules am I living by? What roles have I lived into? Do I still want them? And I get to create, this is my life. I get to write my own rules. And success, we find, comes from cultivating one's your soul specific path.
Hmm.
So yes, it's beautiful to learn from what other people have done, but the most success comes from those that are really connected and drop into what that path looks like for them. And for everybody, it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right there. I mean, you can imagine anything in your head, but at the end of the day, it comes back to, how you feel about yourself, and are you doing it for you and not for others, right? And meeting that kind of inner person and know that you're meeting those goals that you've set out for yourself. And sometimes I think it's good to have someone to help you understand that, because we are our worst enemy most of the time. I know I am, just with, every day running through my head. If I see someone else's post, or I see someone else this, that, you're like, man, I'm not, they're doing way better than me. But that's really, you shouldn't do that. There's a lot more to your life than, comparing and yourself to other people. So, very, very good points. So, how did you, maybe your personal weight loss and maybe your personal real life experience make you who you are today? And how did that drive you to start your business?
So I used to be a fashion designer in New York City. I was self-taught and I had that career for 13 years. I ran
Mhm.
our New York office. I was sent all over the world to trend shop, and I had like every girl's
Mhm.
dream job,
Mhm.
and I was very good at it. But I knew, for me, I don't thrive in my comfort zone. I'm a self-growth oriented person. So there's some people that love to clock that 9 to 5 job, get in, get out, have
Mhm.
their security. There's nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, that's just not my constitution.
Yeah.
So I found myself going, I have something bigger that I'm feeling called to. And if this is what I'm doing 5 years from now, will I be happy? Like, if I'm still doing the
Mhm.
fashion, like I could keep doing this and I'll make good money and I live in New York and it'll be a nice life.
Mhm.
But I didn't come here just for a nice life. I
Mhm.
really want to expand and do something new. I've kind of mastered my own level of success with that. And I believe that that can happen for a lot. I don't believe that we just are meant to have one career. Now, I think it's beautiful when somebody finds that one thing that lights them up and they
Mhm.
just keep growing and evolving with it. And I think that there's a downside that we get taught in our society about go to school for this career,
Mhm.
because I think we're actually multifaceted beings with a lot of different interests. And I think if you have the guts and can handle that risk factor, then it's a beautiful opportunity to see, hey, you got one life. What do you want to create? And that was
Mhm.
really the question that kept coming up for me. So lucky enough, I was older than, I think, like just out of college, I'm going to start a business.
Sure.
Um, I mean, I started my business when I was 32 or 30. Um, I say that because anyway, my point is, I found myself noticing that I was really committed. I found nutrition. I learned that food can be medicine or poison. I healed myself of lifelong asthma. I was like, this is crazy, just by taking
Mhm.
dairy out. I no longer needed inhalers. I no longer got hospitalized. I
Mhm.
wasn't getting sick. I had no allergies. And I was like, this is all because I cut dairy. And then
Huh.
I got really into learning about food and how the body can heal and alternative things. Cause I grew up with, you go to the doctor. There's the doctor.
Mhm.
I didn't, it wasn't meditate and infrared saunas and supplements and what you're putting into your body. And so I geeked out. And then I started
Mhm.
learning about mindset and all of these things. And I saw this woman online who is now one of my best friends running retreats all over the world at a time when that was like unheard of. You didn't work for yourself and live wherever.
Yeah.
You had to go to an office. This was like before COVID. And I was like, I would love to do something like that. I have a story to tell. And often
Mhm.
I always say the people that you see that start their own businesses, coaches, healers, guides,
Mhm.
all of that, just whatever they're teaching is what they had to overcome. So I had to
Yes.
overcome myself. I was my own worst critic. I was a perfectionist, a controller. I always acted happy. I internalized everything, and I wasn't connected to myself or to faith in something
Mhm.
greater. Even though I was raised Catholic, my view on all of that. And so this is a very long-winded answer. My point is, so then
Yeah.
I quit my job, and of course, as you know, or I'm assuming you know, but you know, generally when you're working for other people, we don't value as much, or at
Mm.
least I did not, what I was bringing to the table. And I thought, wow, I am being paid well. And, you know, you become a part of your environment. So the
Mhm.
environment and fashion in the company that I worked for was, you're lucky you have a job, you
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
and it's the most cutthroat city in the world. And so I was like, I'm just so lucky. So when I went in and quit, and they were like, what do you need to stay?
Yeah.
And my uh, significant other at the time was like, tell them the craziest thing that you want. Like, what would be your ultimate? So I like tripled my salary,
Yeah.
cut my time in half.
What happened?
They
What they
gave it to me.
say?
They gave
They
it to
gave
me
it
for
to wow.
2 years,
Yeah.
and it paid for me to finish my education in my new direction and to build my business.
No, that's great. I mean, there you go. You're right. You don't know unless you ask. So just put it out there sometimes.
Well,
Uh,
I just don't believe we value ourselves fully.
yes. Yes. And why do you think some women or even men, lose or never have that, love and connection with themselves, which, maybe can attribute to weight issues?
Um, I mean, so everything goes back to childhood. That's why I
Mm.
specialize in working on, you know, what your inner belief systems are, your self concept.
Mhm.
Everything is childhood. So to break it down, our minds are set up for survival. They only
Mm.
know what you've taught it. Expecting your mind to bring you to a level of success that you've never achieved before won't happen. You will
Mm.
continue to sabotage yourself. You are set at a thermostat setting. Just think of yourself as a thermostat. You're always set at 76.
Mhm.
You might go up for a little bit. You might lose that weight. You might get on that health kick. You might
Mm.
start making more money, but you will drop back down to where the level of your self concept is, your belief
Mm.
within yourself
Right.
of who you are. Everything in your life is you pushed out, meaning everything is a mirror of your relationship to yourself and what you believe is meant for you. If you believe that everybody's talking about you, then yeah, you're going to think everybody's talking about you, and
Sure.
then they're going to talk about you. If you believe that you're worthy and deserving of a raise, you're going to go in with the energy of it's done. There's no other option. I'm getting the raise. I deserve the raise. And if it's not going to come from you, then I'll go get a job where I'll get that raise.
Sure.
Right. So everything is you, but it all goes back to childhood. So when we're looking at the mind, 95% of our actions in a given day are driven from our subconscious programming. That is
Mm.
not what's conscious. That's not what you read this morning or told yourself yesterday. So we have 80,000 thoughts on a repeated day. 60,000 of those are negative. And yet
Mm.
everyone I talk to says things like, "Oh, my thoughts, my mind. I'm always somebody that's late. I'm always this. I'm always
Mhm.
tired. I'm always," and they're speaking into existence. They're a self-fulfilling prophecy for the exact story they don't want. And so when you really understand, our subconscious mind started forming when we were in the womb. We literally were energetically transmuting and taking on belief systems of our mother. I
Mm.
mean, it just right. So that, I mean, it just makes sense if you're growing inside another human, and their nutrients, their thoughts, everything is being felt, and we're vibrational beings, then we're feeling everything that they're feeling. So if they have heightened
Mm.
anxiety, if they're stressed out about money, if they're feeling super loved and happy, if they're excited about you, if it was an unplanned pregnancy, right? We're picking up on all of that. Now, your subconscious mind that's driving 95% of your actions stopped
Mhm.
forming when you were 8 years old.
Hmm.
Everything that happened to you from womb until 8 is what drives your actions today. And this is why, you know, I was on a podcast the other day with talking about like parenting and all. And I was saying, this is why you can be sitting across from your partner and being like, why are they acting like a child? Or you
Sure.
could say to yourself, I just reverted back to me when I was like 10, because you actually did. That's what's going on. That's our actual view of ourself, your self-concept. So all of your limiting beliefs when you start your new career, right? When you become an entrepreneur, when you're asking for that raise, when you're going, I want to up level. I want more. I want to get in the best shape of my life. You're going to be met with all of the resistance. And resistance is just fear. And there's only two human emotions that we ever experience: love and fear. And fear will always keep you separated from self, but your body never lies. So always drop into the feeling and what you're being guided to.
Now, did I read somewhere? I believe maybe you had said you had cured yourself of cancer. That you had cancer. I'd love to, get some more details on that and kind of, tell us about your experience with that.
Oh, sure. So I had cancer. I don't know if you can see, they cut right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, I can. Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm like, I had a pretty good surgeon. So I found out that I had thyroid cancer, and
Mm,
I the first time that I heard that I had it, I dropped right into the identity. And this is something that I teach. I do a talk called "Turn Hardships into Healings," and your greatest gift
mm,
is, and when I work with people to overcome illness, or to get the best health and shape of their life, or anything around reprogramming yourself, watch the identity that you buy into. So if you were always told that you had ADD, if you were always told that you're an anxious person, if you were always told, we start to believe, oh, that's just a part of me, even
yeah.
if we don't. And this is what happens when people get a diagnosis. And it's one of the most dangerous things that I see, because people automatically buy into the identity. And there are scientific studies done on the brain with somebody that can go into the doctor's office feeling vibrant and healthy. And then they get told that they have an illness like cancer, and they will leave. And in their brain scans, it will be that of somebody that is sick. Their entire blood work makeup changes.
Hmm.
And so it just shows that our cells, that we are energetic beings, and our cells hear everything, and they're picking up on everything, every feeling state. This is why we always say you can affirm things till the cows come home, but if you don't feel it as being
Mhm,
yours, it won't happen. You can
mhm,
repeat, I'm a multimillionaire, I'm a billionaire, but if you don't feel it, now if you feel it, these things can manifest quickly. What
mhm,
happened with me with cancer the first time was I bought into the illness. And since I'm a nutritionist and I'm holistic, I believe in alternatives. I'm bought all the green
mhm.
juices. I'm doing acupuncture.
Yeah.
I'm doing any somatic healing. I'm doing sound baths. I'm meditating daily. I'm scripting. I'm this, I'm that. I'm doing everything. So what was happening? All of my
Mm,
energy and focus was feeding into the belief that I was sick. It wasn't feeding
mm,
into the belief that I was healed.
mm,
And I took everything off my calendar that was fun. Every vacation, I had all these trips
mm.
planned, because in truth, it was a full-time job, meaning doctor's appointments, surgeries. It was a lot. I mean, I'm not going to say this isn't a hate campaign on myself. I was doing the best that I could.
Sure.
And I thought I was doing everything in the right direction. But in reflection, I saw, oh, instead of living my best life, I lived into the life of a patient who had cancer,
Mhm.
and I needed to do everything to support in the healing. But my energy was from an energy of fear
Sure.
that, what if it doesn't? What if it spreads? And so that fear based energy is what drove it. So when I got the next call after I was cancer free for about a year, a
Mhm.
year, then I got a call, and I completely changed my life and all this stuff. I got a call that the cancer had come back, and that I needed a surgery, and that I should go home because I was living in California. I was away from family, And I dropped down to my knees and I was like, God, I don't know what else you want me to do.
Yeah.
Cause like I've transformed my life and like and then I heard you're healthy. And I was like, huh? And then I was like, I am healthy. Wait a minute. I was just earlier today, I'm dancing around in my home,
Yeah.
feeling like I'm on top of the world, loving life. No, I have no, and I drew a line in the sand and I decided that I was done. I was like, no, I have no room for this illness. I have no more room for this. I gave 3 years to this. I'm done. We've
Wow.
had my day. I feel healthy. I am healthy. I don't believe that this diagnosis. And for the next 8 weeks, I lived my best life. I did not feed into it. I did self hypnosis on myself. I
Mm.
worked around any belief systems. And then a big thing that I did was I did not talk to anybody that did not have a positive, was not of my same mindset. That I didn't talk to anybody, that I didn't talk to my parents. I didn't even tell them. Because the first time my dad, you would have thought that he had cancer and he was a nervous wreck. And
Yeah.
I mean, he was stressed out for, I mean, years. And
Mhm.
I mean, it was just, and I couldn't, and I was like, nope, I'm only going to share with people that I'm good and this is what I'm choosing. And I'm
Mm.
going to go live my best life. And I'm not stopping anything that I set out to do. And 8 weeks later, I got the CT scan and they couldn't find it.
Wow.
And here
That's
I
a
am.
that's very powerful message, and you're right. I love that you said you took those weeks to just only have positivity in your life. And even in our home with my wife and our kids, we've chosen just to not watch the news anymore.
Oh,
And things like that. We just I'm not putting that in my head because it does so much more to you than you think. And
passive programming.
it's what is it? I'm sorry.
In the realm of psychology, it's called passive programming. Passive programming is when we have things on in the background that are infiltrating our mind. So you can do the same thing in a positive way,
Mm.
right? With subliminals and things around wealth and happiness and
Sure.
joy. And you'll see and reap the beautiful results of that. And watching the news, which so many people do before bed,
Uh,
and it's the news is not, it's curated. It's a marketing media that's curated towards one specific outcome, whatever that is that they are vying for, whoever's funding it. And yeah, and it's also why they say before you go to bed, even if you watch something about serial killers or a horror movie, I'm being like a lot of
yeah.
people do, people that love thrillers and psychological, you will
Mhm.
go to sleep and you will have really messed up dreams, and it just
Mhm.
proves that it's impacting your subconscious. So one of the things that I love to teach is passive programming while you sleep.
Mm.
Listen to hypnosis while you sleep. Listen to 8-hour tracks of affirmations in your own voice and say them in your phone in your notes section, and then upload that recording and put some nice calming music on in the background. There's
Mm.
apps that there's an app called that will actually do that for you. And it's your own voice, which what I learned even in my hypnotherapy training, that your vocal code is significant to you. So when you hear your own voice through your eardrum, it has its own vibrational frequency in your own body, because nobody has the same voice.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
significant as your thumbprint, right? So when you do that, it actually programs, you know how I said earlier that on a cellular level, our cells are hearing everything.
Mhm.
And when you do these studies and you see people that had stage 4 cancer and they don't anymore, their actual cells are different.
Hmm.
It's the same thing when you do passive programming at night.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. That's very interesting. That's something I'll need to definitely get some more information from you on that. And one thing I want to do is also for our entrepreneur and you listeners is to learn a little bit more about your business and kind of how you market yourself. So as far as like the primary way you market your services, what do you see has worked for you? What has failed? I mean, where do you see that you get the most traction with your services?
Oh, it's so interesting. The game of service-based industries has changed since COVID.
Hmm.
There's a big saturation in the market for coaches, healers, but also more than ever, they're in demand, which is a beautiful thing because when I started, people were like, there's coaches for sports. What are you? And I was
Hmm.
like, I'm a coach. I'm going to
Yeah.
help you, so
Yeah, I really didn't think about that because probably back in the day, I memean, your employers would provide more of like, a coach come into the office, everyone gets in a conference room and kind of maybe brought in coaches,
yeah,
but
they're
now
working.
since we all work from home, yeah, we just don't get that. And I'm sure a business, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm sure some businesses still do it, but I can remember back in the day it was more prevalent for someone to come in and speak to the team and do all
Yeah.
that. But now that we work from home, I could definitely see the need there.
Well, corporate is huge for
Mhm.
helping in corporate companies because they're seeing that the team is only as good as their mindset.
Mhm.
And so, for marketing purposes, I mean, social media is hands down, it's free advertising.
Sure.
If you're not on there, you don't really get much of a business.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where you're going to get more bang for your buck with organic traffic than you are with paid traffic. The more that you can share about your level of expertise. So, for anybody here that's starting out, your job is to position yourself as an expert. Your job is to be seen as an expert. And like podcasts are a great way. Get on podcasts, start a podcast, write a book. Um, but don't just do that if you have no experience. So, if we're looking at just coaches, I tell people don't create the program until you have the people.
Mhm.
Your list that is your funding source. Those are your people that you need to foster. You have nothing if you don't have an email list.
Mhm.
As long as you have an email list, you have a business. If you don't have an email list, then that's where you need to start. And your email list can be as simple as looking at everybody in your phone of contacts, looking at your Facebook friends, all your social media platform people, ask them for emails and start putting something together and then let them know that you are offering your services. That's where you're going to start and end up getting traction. But I'm not sure if you're just talking about coaches or if you're talking about small businesses.
Well, either or. I mean, everything that you just shared was actually you actually approached another question I was going to bring up about how can people grow their business if especially if it's something in the field of if they're wanting to go into coaching themselves. So the social media aspect was one of our questions, but it's very interesting with you were mentioning email. I follow some people myself on social, and I've seen recently just how much some of these email lists have sold for, and that's something that you never really thought about. At least for myself, getting into business, back in the day, and now I see the importance of it and what people are paying for these email lists. Because you're right. I mean, if you're in a certain, let's say it's finance, and you got 100,000 people that follow you, someone who's wanting to get an instant following, they'll pay for that list to just have all those emails, and it's
People will
very
pay
very
for your
powerful.
Instagram profile. I mean, it's people will pay for a YouTube channel. I mean, there's a lot of that goes on, and people sell lists all the time, and that's when you get
Mhm.
those random emails that you're like, no, I never signed up for this.
Sure.
Nope.
Yep.
And that's when you get to unsubscribe and do things like Unroll Me or Trimbox or any of
Mhm.
those to help clear out your inbox. But as for getting started, what I would say is work on your mindset and make sure you have conviction. Know who your niche is and your audience. Ask yourself, if you were talking to one person, what would it be? What are their problems? And what are they excited about? Because people want to be inspired these days. Back in the day, you hit them with pain points. Where are you struggling? Right now, more than
Yeah.
ever, it's your stories. It's you. People are buying people. And so even if you're just starting, if you have a compelling story and you overcame it and you've got a unique way about doing that,
Mhm.
and even if you're sitting there going, well, I don't really have a unique way, I did this, it's unique because you did it. So look at, even if you followed, let's just use the realm of weight loss. Let's say that you followed the somebody's keto diet and
Mhm.
they've got a big keto platform, And you're like, well, I just ate keto. It really wasn't that different. I guarantee if you looked at things that you did, you created a certain schedule or way in which you created your meals, or certain guidelines or things that helped you to simplify it in some way. You've got your unique edge. That's you. That was your spin on it. You can always attribute it back. We never steal content. That's not the name of the game. Give credit where credit is due. I'm not stealing Aristotle's, quotes.
Yeah.
We don't steal, don't take credit for something that isn't yours. And you can say, and what worked for me that I did with this was, because everything's coming from somewhere. None of us are really original except for our spin on the thing that we learned and now have done for ourselves. So that's what I would say from a unique point of view. For your audience next, I would look at, who is my niche? Well, my niche is me. Usually when people first start, it's them. They are talking to themselves. A lot of people write a book based on the book that they needed.
Yeah.
A lot of, I wrote this because it helped me when I was healing, being a caretaker for my mom. I wrote this because, Alex Hermosi, I wrote my book, 1,000, a million followers or subscribers, because he wanted to get to 1 million, and he's like, I did it for myself. And then I did it. And then we used it in my business. So always know that most likely you're your audience. And if you're that far removed from what you want to teach, then look at, who's your favorite client that you're helping and what makes them your ideal client. But most likely it's you. So now we know what's my unique edge, right? What am I helping people with? What's my unique edge? It's what you're passionate about, your unique edge. Who am I talking to? Okay, I'm talking to myself. What do I need to hear? Well, I don't just want to be told that I'm a piece of crap, which is what I'm telling myself. I want to hear something inspiring.
Absolutely.
So look at the stuff that you look for that excites you that day on social media. Who are the people you're following and why? And who made you feel good that day that you want to follow?
Sure.
Okay, those are your first messages. What is it? Okay, well, I love that they woke up and showed me that they're making their coffee and journaling. I love that they woke up and they're crushing it at the gym. I love that they're showing me how they're writing their morning tasks or gratitudes. Then okay, I need inspiring content in the morning. What am I looking for in the afternoon? Well, I'm bored and I hate my job. So I'm scrolling social media to be entertained. Okay, what could you entertain and teach on? Okay. Now, what's the next time you're scrolling? Well, I put the kids to bed and it's nighttime. And I'm kind of like in that, I don't really want to think about tomorrow. But at the same time, I feel like I got to think about tomorrow. Okay, well, what's something that's going to inspire you and kind of give you peace of mind or get you excited about tomorrow? Now you've got 3 posts and at least a guideline of how you're targeting your ideal customer throughout the day.
Now, I also saw that you had your own podcast. Could you tell our listeners maybe what they could expect to hear on your podcast?
Yeah, the Wholeness podcast ranges. So it's everything from health, wellness, different lifestyle hacks, productivity hacks, mindset, tons of mindset stuff around energy, overcoming hardships. I bring on guests, a lot of inspiring, motivational, metaphysical, biohacking, nutrition. I mean, it's everything under the realm of wholeness. And wholeness is nutrition, spirituality, fitness, fitness and movement, and mindset.
Yes, this is great. And what we'll do for all the listeners, for those that are viewing on YouTube or visually, there we go. Sorry, a little video is playing, but we'll actually share.
Hey guys,
we'll actually share all of Melissa's stuff in the links or the comments in the description, so you guys can go follow her and check out her content. And definitely check out her website, which is melissakathryn.com. She has a lot of information on there, as well as some links if you're interested in learning more about her services. But what I'd like to do today is go ahead and wrap up today's show. I've just loved today's podcast. I love spending time with you today, Melissa. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. And thank you for your time.
Troy, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast. I'm so honored.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate everyone for tuning in to The Entrepreneur in You, and we will see you on the next show. Thank you for tuning in to The Entrepreneur in You. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. If you found value in today's podcast, be sure to hit that follow or subscribe and leave us a review so other people can find this podcast and gain value from it as well.